Good evening. Yes, it's Thursday night, or as some people like to call it, Friday Eve. One more day of work. One more day of work. Okay, anyway. I got a little carried away last time. I was here doing my mold and stuff, and I forgot to take video of it. So someone asked me if I could explain the process, so I'm going to do that. All right. So this is a mold I made, and it's just I just scabbed it together with some hot glue. This is drawer liner material, which does, like, for as far as a mold goes, and if you have to put something together pretty quick and you don't have something that's going to suffice to do what you need it to do, this is a good material to do. It's cheap, it's easy to handle, it's easy to cut, it bends and folds pretty good. So the trick was to build a mold and have it so it allowed some space for the epoxy to seep into all the cracks and all the crevices and all the issues that were in this in this bowl. In previous video, you saw that it was there was a big hole in the side of it, and I'd mentioned that it was a good candidate for epoxy, and that's what this is. This is our epoxy mold. All right, so when I prepare, the epoxy I use is deep cast epoxy, and it's a two-part, so it's a 1-to-1 ratio. About, I don't know, I think there's like 120 ounces in a kit, and it costs right around $100. This took about 16 ounces. So to get the cost on it, you have to take it and figure out, 16 ounces, how much is an ounce, and figure out what the cost is to put it into the mold. If you're costing your material, if you're not, it doesn't matter. So the trick is to provide a mold that's relatively balanced. This here, it's off a little bit. I got too much on this side, so when I put it on the lathe, it's going to be a little bit shaky, but I should be able to trim it up. Anyway, when I do mix my epoxy, they say a minimum if you're stirring it by hand, they say a minimum of 3 minutes. So I use Alexa. Set a 3-minute timer.
3-minute timer started.
And away we go. See? And then I just keep stirring until 3 minutes are up, and then she lets me know, and I take my epoxy and I put it into my vacuum chamber. Okay, that's my vacuum chamber, and I take it down to about minus 27 pounds, which allows all those bubbles to increase in size and raise to the surface of the epoxy, and then they burst at the top. All right, so I leave it in that for about 15 minutes. Once it hits 27 pounds, I shut the pump off, and I close all my vents, and it'll sit there at minus 27, and I let it sit for about 15 minutes. So again, I use Alexa. Alexa, cancel timer.
Your timer has been canceled.
And so she'll time it again, and then when the time's up, then I take it out. When I take it out, I use my heat gun here, and I give it a little shot across the surface, because there'll be bubbles sitting on the top of the surface. And one of the things you want to remember is when you release, this is where you release the pressure here on this one. Okay? But when you release it, you want to release it slowly, because you don't want to shock the epoxy and cause it to get bubbles again. So you release it really slow, and then you use your heat gun and you take the remaining bubbles off the top of it, and then you pour it into the mold. All right. So the mold, depending on temperature and age of your epoxy, there's a lot that affects this. So if it's hot in the summer and you're trying to pour epoxy, some people have actually put this in the fridge because you don't want it to cure too fast. And the problem is with it curing too fast is that it cracks, and you don't want any cracks. Okay, so the best time to do it is when it's cool out. When you're running 30 degrees outside, it's not a good time to do epoxy. Unless you've got somewhere to put it out of the sun and out of the heat, someplace cool, and let it go. Unless it's a shallow pour, you can get by doing a shallow pour. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this mold off. It's only good for one time, so I'm going to tear this apart and get the bowl out, and I'm going to inspect it, and I'll show you what I did to the inside of the bowl. All right, I'll be back. All right, so I got the outside of the mold off. The inside I use aluminum tape that they use for ductwork, and I'll put it over all the cracks. And once I have it laid in there properly, I'll take the end of a screwdriver or something like this here. It's got a nice round edge, and then I mold it into all the little spots so it doesn't leak through. And so I push it in, make sure it makes a good contact with the surface. That way the epoxy won't seep through into the inside. And as you can see, there wasn't really any in here other than what come through on this portion of the mold, and it was just a little piece. So the aluminum tape worked really well. All right, so I'm going to take the rest of this aluminum tape off, and all you do is you just peel it off. Takes a little bit to get it started, but once you get it started, it comes off pretty good. Okay. All right. So some cracks that didn't get filled, but they couldn't have gone through all the way. Let's see what the rest of it looks like. There's that great big hole that we had. So I'm interested to see what that looks like. Now, these other little cracks, depending on how deep they are, because I might be able to thin it out enough that I can get to the bottom of it, or if they look okay, then I'll just leave them. But we're getting to to the big hole here. I'm going to take the rest of this off, and I'll be back. All right, so I got the inside off. There's some little bits that'll come off in the turning. One of the reasons why I use the aluminum tape is that it's soft enough. It doesn't affect the chisels that much. Probably none at all, actually. And it's stiff enough that it'll hold the shape. So once I get it into place and stuff like that, I'm not really concerned about getting all of it off. I can leave, there's little bits and pieces you can see here. Right, so it's not that big of a deal. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to find center on my tenon, and I'll use my jam chuck. I'll put this on here, and then I got to clean up the surface again so my chuck can fit properly, because right now my tenon's a little bit short, but I mean it would hold it, but I want to finish the bottom up anyway. So when I put it on the jam chuck, what I'll do is I'll bring it down to the wood, and it'll look like the bottom of a bowl instead of a chunk of epoxy. Now, if you look in here, you can see how thin it was on the sides here. I was able to keep it nice and thin here. All right, so, but when you look on the inside here, you can see right here that it seeped through from the outside, and filled in that crack. Okay, there's a couple cracks that have filled in. The other ones, I'm going to leave them. And I think what I'm going to do is I have another process that I use for filling in cracks and holes and stuff. So I think I'm going to use that process, and I'll explain that to you on Saturday. It's Thursday right now, so I'll explain that on Saturday when I turn this. I'll be doing it Saturday morning, and either Saturday morning or Sunday morning, one of the two. I just waiting on my respirator, because that's one thing you want to take care of is your lungs, because when you're turning epoxy and you get that airborne particles, it's hard on your lungs. So I ordered a new mask just for this, and a set of goggles to go over my glasses, so the dust doesn't get into my eyes, because you got mucous membranes in around your eyes, and that material can get absorbed in. So I wear goggles, and I'll wear my respirator and try to cover my arms and put a pair of gloves on. When I'm finished, the first thing I do is I go and I wash up and make sure I get everything off me. All right. So that being said, this is where we're at right now. So Saturday morning, Sunday morning, we're going to turn this, because I'm planning on taking it to the guild to show them this burl with the epoxy in it on Wednesday night. All right. So thanks for watching. Bye. Okay, I couldn't wait. I was going to just mount it and then forget about it, but I couldn't wait. Anyway, look how nice that looks. It's just a start. I cleaned up the tenon, got it balanced. All right, so I'm going to put my chuck on here, and I'm going to do the rest of it. Well, I'm not going to sand it, but I'm going to shape it a little bit, because there's not that much of not a lot of what's the word I'm looking for. There's not a lot of dust off of this. It's cutting really easy. All right. Some epoxies come off in a lot of dust, but this one here doesn't have any. So I'll get this mounted and I'll be back. All right, so this is my 1/2 inch bowl gouge. Now we're going to dress up the top rim of it. I'll get this back here so you can see what I'm doing. All right. And it looks like I got most of it. There's a little bit there. This here is a problem. We'll have to figure out what we're going to do with that. Anyway, let's give her a shot. I'm going to try to keep as much as I can, but I still got to clean it up. All right. A part here that didn't seem to work out as well as I'd liked it, so we're going to have to peel away at it, I guess. yet. Go. Let me see. Yeah, I still got a little bit there. So we're going to try to roll it a little bit. Give it a nice little ogie shape maybe. Still needs a little bit more. Almost got her. Oh, it's looking nice. It's looking nice. All right. All right, we're going to do a little bit of a smoothing down here. All right, that's looking okay. Now we're going to try to copy the outside shape with the inside shape. Now the floor of this is a little close, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring it, I'm not going to dig it anymore, I'm not going to take it any deeper, I'm just going to come straight across from here and round into here. But before I do that, I got to take some of this material off and round out some of that stuff. I'll be back. All right, so this is as far as I can go tonight. There are some areas that, like all those cracks are gone that I was concerned about. They're gone now. So it's going to be sanding. Oh, it's got some beautiful swirls in it. Okay, I'm going to take this off just so I can show you. Give you a better close-up look of it. All right. So this is the gold here. You can see all the, that's all those light spots are filled with epoxy. Okay. So now we'll just give you a closer look at it here, if I can. So you can see, get a better grip on this thing. You can see everything is pretty well filled. Some of the colors differential between the epoxy and the actual mold is quite impressive, actually. Like this here. But I don't have my respirator, so I'm not going to sand without it. I'm going to put this back on here. One of the things we watch when we're sanding is
not to overwork the epoxy because it'll get soft. So I'm going to leave it on here until Saturday morning. That's going to give this stuff here a little more time to cure. But it's going to, once we put the wax to it, it's going to look nice. All right, so bear with me. I'll get my respirator and my goggles, and then I'll start the sanding. It's as thin as I want to go. A lot of epoxy in there. I don't want to thin it out too much. So we're going to sand it up. Go around the lip of the bowl. We're going to polish it up. We're going to get it up to about 300. Well, I got 320 is my highest grit. So we'll get it to 320. We'll put the wax to it. And then the last step, we'll take this off. We'll turn it around. Put it in my into my jam chuck again. And then we'll fashion the foot. Make sure the foot looks nice. So when it's done, it'll sit level. All the holes are cured. It's all polished and all shined up. And we'll take her to the meeting and see what happens. All right. Thanks for watching.